Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a good night. I couldn't believe it was time for me to come in here already. I thought I was going to be late. So, before we get started, I just want to remind you if you have a long list of products that you would like to have, there are 3 options to join. You don't have to do what I do. You can just take advantage of the 20% discount on all your future purchases, but you get $175 worth of product plus for free this cute little mini cut and emboss machine for $129. Or you can get it in white with $175 worth of product. And there's the alarm. Or for $99 for the regular kit without the cut and emboss machine, and $99 you can get $175 worth of product of your choice. Hi Karen, how are you? Hi Elizabeth. Thank you so much. So that's just a little reminder. Now, tonight I've thought I would focus on designer series paper. I don't know if you're like me, but I have stacks of retired paper that I never used, and now it's about time I should give it away. So I grabbed the Country Floral Lane designer series paper. And that is what I am focusing on. The colors are really pretty. And look at this one. How gorgeous is that? Yeah, I mean, paper. I have so much. I think some of it I'll sell at my online garage sale. And then I did pick out some of the stamps in the Country Bouquet stamp set. And you'll notice that this designer series paper here, this sheet here, actually coordinates with the punch. And I need this little heart for one of the cards, but I just want to show you, if you line it up just right, it punches out the design on the designer series paper, which is awesome. Let's just put that heart aside. Let's see if I lose it tonight. You never know. So we have this one card. I'm just going to move my camera up a little bit. And it is the designer series paper. And this is the opposite side of this paper. I can show you right here. So you can see here's the front and here's the back. Okay. And this little tag actually came from the designer tags dies. And then for the inside, I just stamped a few leaves, and here's that little pink heart that I want to use. Hi, Karen. Hi, Dawn. And then for the second card, that's where I'm using the punch. I actually cut the paper so I could pop up the heart. Added some soft succulent with the mint macaron. And then just added designer series paper inside with my sentiment. And then I created this cute little box, and it actually holds a goat milk hand cream. Okay, so let's get started. Let's just put that aside for a second. Let's start with this one here. Hope everybody's doing good. It's been rainy here, but my goodness, we were watching the weather in Alabama What a shame. So we're starting with an 11 by 4 1/4 piece of white cardstock. And it's scored at 5 1/2. So we're going to use this piece just like this. And let me just check this because it looks like it's off a little bit. And it was. I thought it was off just a tad. All right, so let's layer the front of this card up. I have a layer of mint macaron, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then we're going to layer it with a 5 1/4 by 4-inch piece of designer series paper. And you don't have to keep track. I'm just going to trim this one down too. That's good. You don't have to worry about the dimensions. I will have a PDF for you, probably in the morning. I'll do it while Bill is in rehab. All right, so let's just layer these together. It's just 1/8 of an inch difference. So like I always say, if you can get 3 sides where they look pretty even, your 4th side will be even too. And let me just measure these out, make sure they're right. Yep. And then let's layer this right onto the front of the card. I have this little, hey Kathy, hey Margaret. I have this little owl sitting here looking at me. We colored them up for my Patreon class, and he's got to go on one of my cards for that class. So he's sitting here looking at me. All right, now we're going to pop up a basic white layer, and this should be 5 1/4 by 2. And then we're going to layer that with some mint macaron, and this is 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. And I'm going to have to trim this up, I think. And then the designer series paper is 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. Now I just wanted to mention on this designer series paper, let me see if I have, here we do, where I have my card, you wouldn't want the heart sideways, so when you cut your designer series paper, you want to make sure that you cut it and the hearts are in the right direction. Okay, so you don't want to mess it up. I had cut this for my paper share, and I had a 6 by 6 piece, and at first I cut the paper wrong. So you want to watch if you're using a 6 by 6 piece of designer series paper to make sure you cut it in the right direction and not waste your paper. All right. Yeah, I'm going to need to trim this just a little. So we're just going to layer these together. So is anybody doing anything exciting lately? Aw, you're welcome, Kathy. Yeah, I did this one. This set I used for my craft box this month. And And I actually use Sweet Sorbet and Balmy Blue. Two colors that you would never think to put together. And it came out cute. So with that class, everybody got, I think it's a half a pack of paper everybody's going to get. So this would be a nice little add-on for all the extra paper that you'll have left over. So we're going to pop this layer up onto the front of the card. And I'm going to add my dimensionals. But before, let me just take this one off a second. Before we pop this onto the front of the card, just going to add these onto the corners. I am going to grab a length of soft succulent. It is so close to the mint macaron. And you know me, I do not like to wrap and tie a bow, so I cheat. And I'll grab my ribbon and I'll add some glue dots to each end. And it's a little cool in here, so my glue dots are just a little bit they're not that sticky. And we're just going to run this up the center of this piece. Make sure it sticks. My fingers are pretty warm, so it'll get all melty, if that's the right word for it. Come on. There we go. All right. So let's pop this on the top of the card. And we want it to be even with the designer series paper. So I'm going to stand over top of it. Make sure it is even. Top looks good. And let's just scoot it over a little bit. Just like that. Hey, Dew. Hi, Debbie. Hey, Kathy. All right. So here is the little tag that I cut from the designer tags dies. And using a couple of this leaf here, I have it right here. I'm going to grab some old olive. And all I want to do, let me just grab a piece of scrap paper here. I'm just going to ink it up and stamp off. And I just want to put a couple sprigs of leaves on here. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab my mint macaron and the With Love stamp. And we're going to stamp our sentiment right at the top of this tag. And then in the designer series tags, there is a little piece of foliage that I actually die cut from a piece of mint macaron. And we're just going to add this to the tag. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue at the bottom of this piece. And we're just going to lay this down so I don't cover my sentiment. and grab that ribbon again and tie a bow. One of these days, I'll make sure I bring a fork in the room so we can make some little bows with forks. All right, so we want that knot to be nice and tight in the center so our loops are nice and puffy. And let's just trim these tails. Oops. Grab another glue dot. And we're going to add this. Let's just get this in here. I'm going to tilt it. So let's put it right about here because I want it to be a little in line with the ribbon that we wrapped. So let's just stick that on. And then in the meantime, let's grab some dimensionals. And we're just going to add this to the front of this card. And again, like I said, I want to just get that bow so it's in line with the bow that is centered on this piece. And then I'm going to grab some, I don't even know what the name of these are. I'm sorry. If anybody knows what the name of these are, just pop it in the comments. And I'm going to grab one of the large ones. I'm going to stick it right here in the center. And then take two of the smaller ones. And put one on either side. And there's the front of our card. Quick and easy. For the inside, we're going to pull these little leaves in again with some old olive. And I'm going to ink up. We're just going to add them right to the bottom of this corner. And that little heart that we punched out in the beginning, I'm just going to add a bit of glue. And I'm going to cover up where these two stems come together. And just put it down just like that. Grab our matte layer. And this is 5 1/4 by 4. And then the basic white is 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And I don't glue my white layer in because I don't want to see the glue through the cardstock. So I use my seal. Yeah, new package of dimensionals. How crazy, right? Oops, wrong card. And then we're just going to add this right to the center of our card. So very little stamping. Die cuts and designer series paper. How pretty, right? Hey, Kathleen. The dies for the tags are designer tags. And that's what they're called, designer tags. All right, card number 1 down. Let's pull in card number 2. Now this one, again, I'm using a basic white card base. This time it's 8.5 by 5.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to, again, layer it up. I have mint macaron, 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. Let me just make sure. Yep. And then I have a basic white, should be 5 1/4 by 4. Nope, that's a lie. It's 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. And then I have the gingham paper that goes with this suite in mint macaron, and this is 3 3/4 by 5. So let's layer this up. This is going to be a heavier card, and I think I warned everybody last week. I think postage is going up on the 22nd. So if I were you, I'd get those forever stamps while they're still cheaper. Because you know, when we mail our cards, if it has embellishments, if they're layered, it costs extra for us to mail. So you might as well take advantage and get those stamps before the price goes up. All right. So that's those layers. Now the DSP, again, we're just going to layer this right down on the front of the card. Okay. So there is our card front. Hey, Kathy, how are you, honey? Now I'm going to layer it up again. I have another piece of basic white, 2 3/4 by 4, a mint macaron, 3 7/8 by 2 5/8, and then the designer series paper. Now you'll notice I used this paper again. It does have mossy meadow leaves, and then it has the mint macaron leaves. So what I did was I wanted my heart to be to the right hand side of the card. So I just moved over a little. I actually probably started right about here and just cut my piece out. And then using the punch, I cut out the heart and the 2 leaves. I didn't worry about this heart. I actually, like you saw, I used it in the first card. So now we're going to layer these pieces up. So the designer series paper is going on the mint macaron. And then we're going to layer the mint macaron on the basic white. Now, again, before we pop this up, I'm going to grab a length of ribbon. I probably could have used that one from the other piece, but that's okay. And some glue dots. Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks, ladies. All right. So I'm going to put it right towards the bottom. Use these glue dots on my ribbon. Make sure it's on there even. We can pull it down or up if I need be. Then we're going to take our hearts. Let's put it on the front of the card first. Let's pop this up. I want to make sure that I don't crush anything. So we're going to layer it up with some dimensionals. So is the weather supposed to be warm by everybody this week? I think we're supposed to be going up into the 60s. How crazy is that for January? Although I do remember years ago, one December, the kids and I don't know, we were cutting this big bush down in the backyard, and we had shorts on. But I guess that's what they call the January thaw for this year. All right, so we popped that piece up on the front. Now we're going to take these pieces, and I am going to add some dimensionals, and this one I'm going to grab some smaller, the mini dimensionals, and we're going to add these pieces, pull our card back in, and we're going to just line this up right onto the heart that's on the designer series paper. And we're going to do the same thing with the leaves. You're going to have to match them up. So you just want to get it on there so it is covering that leaf. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other one. Let's see, it goes this way. So it's not that noticeable, but when you turn it and look, you can see that it's an extra. Yep, that's what I could have, yes. I could have punched that piece. The only problem would have been it would have punched out this little pink heart at the bottom, right? Because here it would punch that little tiny heart out. And I didn't want that heart out. All right. And then we're going to grab these embellishments again. I'm going to add one to this corner. And then I'm going to add the smaller ones right around this heart. Let's grab that ribbon again and tie a bow. Now this card doesn't have a sentiment on it. We're going to add the sentiment to the inside. Thanks, Kathy. So if anybody's interested in getting your craft supplies at a discount, I'd be happy to talk it over with you and give you all the ins and outs. So we're going to put this bow right here under the heart. I'm going to trim my tails. You should see my room. I've been trying to get ready for my online garage sale, and oh my goodness, it's a mess in here. Crazy mess. All right, so there's the front of our second card, and we're going to now pull in a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 mint macaron, 5 1/4 by 4 basic white. And then I have another piece of the designer series paper, and this is 1 inch wide, and I'm actually going to put it down this side of the card, and I'll trim it after it is glued down. So we're just going to add some glue. And put that down. And while that's drying, we'll stamp our sentiment. So, ladies, I, for the first time, how crazy is this? I've been a demonstrator for how many years? I just booked an out. You know, I can't have classes in my house. So I found a venue in my area. Oops, let me just get this. Let me just trim this off before I do the sentiment. And there's a little restaurant right up the street from me. Not that far. And I booked a class for February. So I'm a little excited and a little nervous because I've never done a class. I do them online. Yeah, the gingham paper is so pretty, isn't it? I'm glad they have another set of gingham. All right, so we're just going to grab our sentiment, some mint macaron, and I am going to just stamp this right down here in the bottom right-hand corner. Let's grab our mint macaron. I'll show you today while I was making my cards. When I did the inside of my card, look what I did. I did it the wrong way. Right? It's supposed to be this way. I did it this way. It's like, well, that's not going to work. It was just one of those crazy days. Sheba she's crazy. She will not leave me alone. She wants me to entertain her 24/7. She is a nut. She'll sit in front of me and bark and paw and cry and whine if I don't pay attention. So here is card number 2. But the crazy thing, yes, mint macaron. That's the color. But the crazy thing is, between 5:45 and 6:30, she starts crying to go to bed. How crazy is that? All right, so there's card number 2. How pretty, right? Just designer series paper. You're welcome, honey. Thank you, Kathy. All right, so like I said, this holds a goat cream hand cream. And we're going to utilize the same designer series paper. Okay. Basic white. The little butterfly is also from the designer tags. The designer tag dies. Just take out the insides. Let's put him aside. Then we have our basic white. And then we have our gingham paper. This is actually 4.5 by 2 1/8. And then I have 3 pieces. That is 4.5 by 1. And then we have a basic white base for our box. And this measures 7 3/8. Let me just make sure I have it right. 7 3/8 by 6 3/4. Okay, so we are going to have to score this now, and we're going to go to the 7 3/8 side. I'm going to do it this way, and we're going to score it at 1 1/8, 5 3/4, 6 7/8, and then we're going to turn it, and we're going to score it at 2 1/4, 3 3/8, 4 1/2, and 5 5/8. Then, while you're still in this position, you're going to make one extra score line here at 1 1/8 to the first score line. So you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares on one side, and 1, 2, 3, 4 squares on this side. Okay? Thanks, Kathleen. So this is the way this piece is going to go. Now we have to cut it. So let me grab my scissors. This extra score line that we did here, we actually did that because we are going to cut this square completely out. Okay? Then this one is going to be a tab. So we're going to cut down that next score line. So here is the side of your box. The next square right here, we're going to cut in half. That's a little crooked, so let's straighten that out. And then we're going to miter those corners. And then we have another piece. This is going to be the side of the box. So it'll be this side of the box. Here's the piece that we open right here. So we're working on this side of the box. So we're on this square. We're going to cut. We're going to again cut it in half. Miter these corners. This bottom square, we're going to cut completely off. Okay, so we have the two ends, and then these are the pieces that'll be on the inside. Here's a rectangle. We're going to head over here. So we have a score line and a score line. We're actually going to cut on that score line and take out this box and this rectangle. Okay. This piece here, we're going to cut right down the edge again. We're actually going to cut this one in half. Miter these corners. And I cut that crooked again, so let's straighten that out. Now here is the piece, the other end of the flap. So we're going to cut down that score line, and we're going to leave that piece complete. Cut down the next score line, and we're going to match it to this one. So we're going to cut it in half. Miter these corners. And I should grab my phone. And this piece here, these two little rectangles, we're going to cut completely off. Okay. So, this is what we're left with. Okay, this is the piece we had, Janet, how are you? That we're left with. And I'm going to take a quick picture. Okay, this way I can add this onto the PDF so you'll have a visual to go by it while you're cutting. So this large rectangle here is this rectangle in the back of the box. So what we're going to do is I'm going to grab, this is an old corner round, fold that over. And before I fold and burnish, I'm just going to round these corners just like that. This little tab here for the box, the little flap, I'm going to round that also. It'll make it a little bit easier to put in and out of the box. Okay, so this is what we're left with. So let's fold on all our score lines. You want to make sure that you have nice crisp lines. And then let's do these pieces on the end. And same thing on this side. Okay. So this is going to be the outside of the box when it's folded up. But first, let me just grab, let's see what area it is. There it is, right in front of me. I'm going to grab a little mini, this is an old 3/4 inch circle. I am actually going to, on this side where there is no tab, I'm just going to do a half circle right about there. That's where this little flap is going to show up. So it's a little thumb tab that we can work on. Okay? So now we have our 3 pieces. And we have this large piece here. Let's go ahead and round these 2 corners. We're actually going to add this to the back of this box. Okay, so let's grab some glue. And this is going to go right here on the back. And I'm just going to grab my circle punch again and take out that piece of designer series paper. Now this is going to get folded up just like this. So we're going to take these 3 pieces. We need a piece for the top. So again, we want to round these corners. We're going to add our glue. And we're going to add this right to this top piece. Now the glue will hold for a second, and that's perfect. I want that edge to be hidden. Okay, so we have that. And then I have a piece for the top and a piece for the front. So we're going to put these in the second and the third rectangle. So let's grab some glue again. Oops. So we want it in the second. And then the third. And again, I just want to check to make sure. All right. So now you can use glue or you can use tear and tape. I'm going to choose some tear and tape. And I'm going to put it along that edge. Where is my cap? And then I'm going to put one right along the score line. Let's remove that paper. Hey, Sheila. Oh, yes, Georgia is getting hit pretty hard. So was Alabama. Good. Thanks. I am, Janet. Alabama, Selma, Alabama has a mile-wide track of destruction from the tornado. So please be safe. All right. So I have my tear and tape. I'm going to just fold it in. So 1, 2, third score line, I'm going to fold it and we're going to lay it down and attach it. And then it will create our box. Okay, so now we have our box. For this end, we're just going to, I'm going to grab that and pull in our tabs. Here's the front of our box, so we want to put this one in last. Fold in the back one. And you want to make sure, I don't want to be too close to the camera, but you want to make sure you hold it in place. This time I'm going to add some glue to this piece. And you want to make sure it's straight. And then close it up. We're just going to hold it there for a second. Make sure it stays. So this end is going to be glued completely shut. Then we're going to head on over to this side. And I'm just going to grab, I don't think I can do this. Nope. Just going to grab my scissors. I'm going to cut that half circle. Because when we folded it, we had that little piece in the back. Okay. So now this side, our little tabs get folded in. And our box closes up. Just like that. Okay, so there is our little box. We're going to grab that little butterfly. And I like to fold their wings up. We're going to add a little bit of glue. We'll let that dry. Tie another ribbon. And you could wrap the ribbon around the top if you wanted. I'm just going to add a bow. I cut this one too short. So I'm just going to add a bow. Let's cut these tails. grab a glue dot. We're going to stick this right over here. Then I'm going to grab a tiny little scrap of basic white. And we're going to grab the For You stamp, some mint macaron, and let's stamp For You right in the center. Nope, we're going to do it again. I'm going to move it down just a hair. And I'm going to grab my classic label punch. And I'm going to just punch that out. And I'm actually going to cut it down. And I actually did some on the other side that I messed up. And I messed that one up. That was the side I wanted, ladies. Let me grab another piece of white. That's been my day today. All right, so let's do this sentiment one more time. So we're going to do our sentiment. Grab our punch. Make sure it's straight. This will work because this is a nice clean piece of paper. Again, I'm going to cut this end off because I just want it to be a little shorter. We're going to add some glue. And I just want to tuck it under that butterfly. And he's still a little damp. Let's grab those gems. And we're going to add one to the end. And then a smaller one we're just going to add to the body of that butterfly. Fix that bow a little bit. Let's close this box up. And then we have a cute little gift box. Oh, you lost? Oh, wow. Well, Sheila, please be safe, honey, because it is very, very scary. Aw, thank you, Elizabeth. And then here's the next card. So tonight, thanks, Karen. So tonight is just all about designer series paper. Even if you have retired paper, don't let it go to waste. I mean, you can use this PDF as a great example to use other designer series paper. Like I said, I have tons. And they're really pretty, quick and easy. So, ladies, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the evening. Sheila, please be safe. I'll say a little prayer for you that it's over soon. And I'll see everybody on Sunday, 2 o'clock. Thanks for joining. All right, honey. Have a great night. Bye-bye.